Okay, did you ever thought about how did Anakin sneak into Padme's apartment? Like, isn't that like sneaking into White House to have sex with a lot prettier version of Joe Biden? Okay, so to see how something like this is even possible, we need to first examine the building of Padme's apartment. Padme's apartment was located in the building called Senate Apartment Complex. It was a luxurious apartment building located in the Senate District. Senate District is the part of the Coruscant containing the Senate Plaza, Jedi Temple, Coruscant Opera, and all this luxurious stuff. It was very dedicated to the politics, but imagine it like the center of the city, the oldest and most impressive part of the city. The apartment was located a few kilometers from the Jedi Temple. Okay, now here is the interesting part. It wasn't really publicly known that the senators lived there. Rumors did of course spread, but the building didn't have as much attention as 500 Republica, for example, where Chancellor was located. 500 Republica was extremely secured. It had a security team in the size of a small army. The Senate apartment complex didn't have such a security though, so not everybody knew where the senators that lived in the Senate apartment complex lived. And most senators didn't like big security anyway, so it kinda looked like a normal building. All the stuff like camera monitoring were of course present. Amidala often turned it off because she didn't like the idea of someone looking at her while she was sleeping or something. The security forces from Naboo were with her and they did protect her, but not in a way like monitoring everything. But they were there, and if Padme would scream or give any emergency signs, they would immediately be there. But besides that, no fancy security was involved, as is clear from Attack of the Clones. It definitely wasn't the safest place, and senators did quite gamble with their lives if they didn't increase the security a little. But they did have a complete privacy, more or less, and that's where Annie comes in. There is a few places he could come in. If he would go with the turbolift, he would probably get caught, as the turbolift activity was probably monitored. But where we see him come very often without hiding is at the veranda. The veranda was completely unsecured, and Anakin is not the only one who often landed there. Bail Organa and many others often actually came to talk with the senator there, although of course she didn't just have the doors open all the time. You see, there was a long hallway leading from the sitting room to her veranda, and she probably had her doors from veranda shut most of the time. She only opened the doors if she was sure that she was safe. So I think that Annie came to her apartment directly from the veranda, and it doesn't seem pretty private. I mean, think about it, the building is pretty high. We can actually see that it's one of the biggest buildings around at that part of the Coruscant. So there is no efficient spot for snipers or anything, and besides that, nobody can really snipe her from a speeder. The roads are way too far from the apartment. Did you thought that you can just drive anywhere with a speeder on Coruscant? Not at all. You see these straight lines? These are basically roads in the air. You thought you don't need driving lessons for speeders, huh? Nope. Everything about speeders that we see in movies is like GTA. Otherwise, there are strict rules for where speeders can fly. And as Anakin was a very close friend of Senator Amidala, it's completely reasonable to think that he had access to her veranda without security checking on ship approaching, as he did have a very iconic ship. But you know what that also means? If we theorize that he parked his ship in front of the veranda every time, that would also probably mean that just about a whole Naboo royal security forces knew that they were together. I mean, there is no chance that just a random ship can fly and land near Padme's apartment. She would be long dead. If the security watch who was approaching Padme's apartment, which they almost certainly did, then just about everybody knew that they were together. So although the security of the apartment wasn't the best, I doubt that Anakin actually sneaked into the apartment every time. I mean, there is no chance he somehow sneaked in every time. He came to her and everybody knew that. That's just the only logical explanation, and nobody really stopped him because everybody knew what's going on. I mean, there is no way people could just randomly sneak into her apartment. She wouldn't make it throughout the Clone Wars alive. So that's my theory. Anakin didn't try to hide it too much. I mean, he couldn't. Padme was a senator. You just can't have a secret relationship with a senator. He just came to her apartment not trying to hide because he couldn't, and that's it. I mean, he quit trying to hide it the day they first met. I mean, Yoda's right there, guys. Bail is literally looking at you. So yeah, I doubt that they actually had some kind of secret relationship. Like, that's like having a secret relationship with Donald Trump. Like, come on. I mean, I understand that people think that nobody really knew about it, but guys, it's just, we see Anakin and Len so often on the veranda and they just chat outside, like it's impossible that nobody really saw them. Padme still needed some kind of security. It seems Anakin didn't sneak to her apartment at all. I'm making quite some videos from the prequel era. I don't know if you like it, but I like prequels, okay? And yeah guys, see you.